The rain was light but steady, falling in soft sheets on the busy downtown sidewalk, as a well-dressed black woman stepped out of her sleek black car. Her heels clicked confidently against the pavement, coat pulled tight around her shoulders. It had been a long week, meetings, presentations, and constant decisions, but today she just wanted a quiet dinner. Nothing fancy, just a little place she remembered from years ago, a restaurant she used to go to when she was still building her career, when she wasn't yet someone. But things had changed. Back then, nobody cared who she was, and tonight, that seemed to still be the case, but not in the way she expected. As she walked through the door, the warmth of the restaurant brushed against her face. The place smelled like garlic bread, grilled chicken, and butter, comforting scents. She looked around with a faint smile. It wasn't crowded, just a few couples and families enjoying their meals. She waited politely near the host stand, glancing at the menu on the wall. She noticed a few eyes turned toward her. Nothing new. Being a black woman in a mostly white neighborhood meant she was used to being looked at twice. But this felt different. The host, a young white man in his early 20s, approached after a long pause. His eyes scanned her from head to toe, lips pressed together like he'd already made a judgment. "Can I help you?" he asked flatly, not smiling. "Yes," she said kindly. "Just one for dinner. Is that okay?" He looked behind her as if hoping she had a white companion following. Then, without a hint of apology, he said, "Actually, we're not accepting walk-ins right now." She blinked. "Oh, your sign says walk-ins welcome. And there are several empty tables." He avoided her eyes. "We have a private event tonight." Her eyebrows raised slightly, but she kept calm. "That's strange. I just saw someone else walk in before me, and they were seated." He shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a private evening. You'll need to try somewhere else." There it was, the unspoken message, in his tone. Not angry, not loud, just cold and dismissive, as if her presence here was wrong. Still calm, she asked, "Is this about the way I look?" He laughed awkwardly. "No, ma'am, it's just house policy. We have the right to refuse service." Few people at nearby tables were now watching. One couple whispered to each other. An older man frowned and looked away. She gave the host one last chance. "Are you sure you want to do this?" He crossed his arms. "Yes, ma'am. Please don't. Make a scene." She stood there for another moment, then slowly nodded. "All right, I won't." Her voice was calm, even peaceful. She turned and walked out without another word, but something in her expression shifted. A quiet steel in her eyes. Not hurt, not angry. Just resolved. Back inside, the staff murmured. A waitress leaned in to the host. "That lady looked familiar," she whispered. Wasn't she in that Forbes article or something?" The host shrugged. "Doubt it. Probably just some wannabe." But he was wrong. Dead wrong. Because the woman they had just kicked out, based on the color of her skin, was none other than Jordan Ellis, CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the country. Her company had recently inked a deal with several luxury brands, including a marketing partnership with that very restaurant chain. And the news was about to reach the top. Just down the street, a young black teenager named Malik sat quietly on a city bus. His earbuds played soft music as he watched the rain streak the windows. He was heading home from school, backpack slung over his shoulder. He didn't know that in a matter of hours, he would become part of a moment that would go viral. The bus stopped, and a heavily pregnant woman stepped in. She looked tired, damp from the rain, one hand cradling her belly, the other gripping the pole. Passengers looked at her, then looked away. Nobody moved, until Malik stood up. "Ma'am, you can have my seat," he said gently. The woman hesitated, touched. "Are you sure?" He smiled. "Yes, ma'am, please." She sat down slowly, gratefully. "Thank you, young man. That was very kind." Malik simply nodded and returned to his music, standing quietly. The other passengers avoided his eyes, ashamed perhaps. But the woman was still watching him. Something about the boy struck her. his quiet respect, his selflessness. She reached into her purse and scribbled something on a folded note. When she got up to leave, she pressed the note into his hand. "You take care," she said. "Read this later." Then she was gone. Malik opened the note once he got off the bus. He stared at it, confused at first. Then his eyes widened. Back at the restaurant, chaos was unfolding. The manager had just received a call from corporate, and they weren't happy. "You did what?" the regional director shouted over the phone. "You turned away Jordan Ellis, the CEO? Are you out of your mind?" The host paled, stammering. I didn't know. She didn't look like what? Like a millionaire? Like a decision maker? Like the person who just pulled our name out of a $4.5 million partnership deal?" Silence. The staff exchanged panicked glances. Suddenly, the waitress who had recognized Jordan gasped. She pulled up an article on her phone and showed it around. There she was, Jordan Ellis, smiling in a blazer, the headline reading, "Tech CEO Jordan Ellis becomes face of new equity campaign in corporate dining partnerships." The same woman they had just shoved out into the rain. And they didn't even know what was coming next. Because Jordan wasn't the type to post online rants. She didn't need to yell or scream. She had resources, reputation, and reach. But before she acted, she sat in her car for a long time that night. She thought about all the times this had happened, all the doors slammed for no reason, all the assumptions. And then she thought about Malik. She didn't know his name yet. But the story of what he'd done would soon cross her path and change both their lives. What was written in that note? Why did it make Malik freeze in his tracks, and what would Jordan do next? The restaurant thought the storm was over, but it had only just begun. The note crinkled softly in Malik's hand as he stood in the drizzle outside the bus stop. He looked around, still stunned, then slowly unfolded it again. The ink had smudged slightly from his damp fingers, but the words were clear enough. "You remind me of someone who changed my life. If you ever need help, truly need it, call this number. Tell them I sent you. A friend." Below the message was a name he didn't recognize, and a private phone number. He blinked at the paper, heart thudding in his chest. Didn't make sense. Why would a stranger give him something like this? He had just given up a seat, that was all. Something he'd seen his mother do 100 times. Something she told him was just the right thing to do, no matter who was watching. Malik tucked the note into his backpack and began walking toward his apartment building. The rain picked up, now tapping loudly against the worn sidewalk. As he moved through the familiar streets, dodging puddles and thinking about dinner, he didn't know that the woman from the bus had just stepped into a different kind of storm. One, connected directly to Jordan Ellis. The pregnant woman's name was Claire. She wasn't rich, she wasn't famous, but she had once been saved by someone who believed in her when no one else did. That someone was Jordan. Years ago, when Claire was a single mom working as a night janitor at a startup office, Jordan had been one of the only people who treated her with respect. One night, when Claire was cleaning out the break room, she overheard Jordan pitching an idea to a room full of young, ambitious developers. After the meeting, Claire timidly offered a suggestion, just a thought on something Jordan had said. To her surprise, Jordan listened, and more than that, she thanked her. That small moment turned into more. Jordan gave Claire a recommendation for a community college scholarship. Claire went on to earn a degree in marketing. So now, years later, when she saw Malik, a young black boy with manners, grace, and a quiet strength, she saw a reflection of that same kindness, of what Jordan once gave her. The note she wrote wasn't just a thank you. It was a way to keep something going. A chain reaction. Meanwhile, inside the restaurant, the tension had only thickened. The manager's voice dropped to a nervous whisper as he huddled in the back office. "We need to fix this, fast. The regional director wasn't having it. You need to prepare for damage control. Jordan Ellis has every right to go public. She doesn't even have to say anything. One post, one article, and our entire image could crumble. She's partnered with people 10 times our size. She's a name people trust. Back on the floor, the staff was uneasy. The waitress who had recognized Jordan kept glancing at the front door, half expecting her to come back with reporters or cameras. But Jordan was far more strategic than that. She didn't need drama. She had precision. At that same moment, in her high-rise apartment overlooking the city skyline, Jordan sat quietly with a steaming cup of tea. Her phone buzzed on the table, messages from colleagues, texts from friends who had already started hearing whispers of what happened. A few even asked if she was going to post about it, call them out. She didn't reply. Instead, she stared at a photo on the wall. A black and white picture of her mother, smiling despite the weight of years behind her eyes. Her mom had raised Jordan alone, working 2 jobs and facing the same kind of cold, casual prejudice she'd felt in that restaurant tonight. Back then, there was no internet outrage to protect people. You either swallowed it or fought through it. Jordan had promised herself she'd never forget that. Still, she wasn't angry. What she felt was deeper, an old kind of ache. One that came from knowing how far she had come, only to still be dismissed when she walked into a room. Her assistant called. "Are you okay?" Jordan took a long breath. "Yeah, just tired. Do you want me to draft a statement? I can pull together a press release." "No," Jordan said. "Not yet." The assistant hesitated. "Corporate's already worried. We had a call with the restaurant partners this morning. They're trying to claim it was a miscommunication." Jordan almost laughed. "They always do." She leaned back in her chair and glanced at her laptop where an email sat open. The subject line read, "Prospective Youth Mentorship Sponsorship Candidates." She'd been reviewing names earlier, young people in underprivileged communities who'd been nominated for a chance to join a summer leadership program. Her company sponsored it quietly every year. That's when her eyes caught something unusual. A new name had been added, not by her but forwarded from Claire's email, Malik Thompson. Age 17, senior at Wilson High. There was a short note beneath. "I met this boy today. Reminds me of someone we both admire. If there's room, please consider him." Jordan stared at the name. She didn't know Malik yet. But something in her gut told her this was no coincidence. She reached for her phone and called Claire. "You met someone today," Jordan said gently when Claire picked up. "Tell me about him." Claire smiled softly on the other end. "He gave me his seat, that's all. No big scene, just kindness. He didn't even think twice." Jordan nodded slowly. "That's the kind of person we need more of." Neither of them said what they were really thinking. That someone like Malik might face the same closed doors, the same cold stares, and maybe if they acted now, he wouldn't have to face them alone. Across town, Malik was sitting at the small kitchen table with his younger sister, helping her with math homework, while his mom stirred something on the stove. The apartment smelled like rice and baked chicken. The TV played low in the background. Local. News half muted. He hadn't told his mom about the note yet. He wasn't sure if it even meant anything. Maybe it was just a kind gesture, or maybe it was something more. He kept glancing at his backpack where the note was tucked between his notebooks. His fingers twitched, tempted to pull it out again. His mother looked over. "Everything okay, baby?" He nodded quickly. "Yeah, just thinking. You're always thinking," she said with a smile. "That's good, just don't forget to eat." He smiled back. But something was shifting in his world. He could feel it, and so could Jordan. What she didn't know yet was how deep this moment would go. That the restaurant incident was just the surface. That what started as a quiet dismissal would unravel into something far bigger. An unexpected ripple in a network of choices, kindness, and consequence. Someone had underestimated the power of quiet